Welcome to Virtual Play live game development streaming. We're a small indie game company in the Netherlands, making a lot of applied games, but also working on our own entertainment games. We have big plans, including a lot of new technologies and very cool new gameplay ideas. For this stream, we'll be showing the entire process of building our new game Hatchball, which is not really technically innovative, but a mashup of pinball and collecting and caring for cute creatures. My name is Stephan, and I've been programming and making games for over 30 years. When I was very young, I already had two big passions, music and computers. So I'm basically a self-taught programmer from a time before the internet and tutorials, and just studied computer science and artificial intelligence years later. Let's get started. Hello everybody. I hope that lots more people will join us today. Let's just say, I'm very happy to do this. I'm really looking forward to spending more time on building Hatchball, and I hope that, well, a lot of people will find some use or fun to watching these streams. All right, I see some people already here, and well, I don't think there's really much more to say than just to get started, I guess. So for those of you who haven't seen the last time, it's the game I'm building is Hatchball. It's a pinball game, but it also is about collecting creatures, cute creatures that you can then grow, feed, love, and well, do anything you can do with those type of games that you can collect and care for creatures. So the first thing that I'm building actually is the pinball side of it all. I'm just gonna look at. Funny thing is that somehow it's not listed anymore. Here we go again. There it is. I'm gonna open the project again. I'm just gonna see where we were at. I actually know that there were two things that I forgot about last time, or actually didn't get to before closing up. One of them is committing, because I also wanted to show you, I mean, it's a project I'm doing by myself, but it's still a nice thing to do. Just put your changes into Git so you have a nice little bit of version control and backup, of course. So I'm gonna do just that. I'm also preparing more tutorials on Git and stuff like that for the, well, near future. But yeah, that's not what you came for here, or maybe it is, I don't know. Just let me know, send some chat messages if you like. So what we got here is we got our changes, and there's a few things that I did. I changed the physics settings, that's correct. The project version got changed, that's also correct, because I upgraded Unity. The scene itself, of course, got upgraded. I made a bumper prefab and a bumper script. Well, that's also correct. I added a circle. And then there's these autosaves. And these are the things I actually do not want to commit to Git. What I'm going to do, it's very easy. I'm going to ignore them. And here, there's no ignore here. That's interesting. Oh, that's because they were already committed in the past. That's not so nice. Okay, so what's going to happen now is a thing that some people might run into at some point. I'm going to make sure that I will get rid of those, and they will not track them anymore. So what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to get this entire autosave folder content, and I'm going to put it in a temporary location. Just say my desktop. I will just put it there, and then it's all gone. And I'm actually going to stage these changes so that these files are not tracked anymore. So that's actually a mistake I made last time. I committed without looking at what I was committing. So I'm just going to commit that. And this means I'm getting rid of tracking these files. Doesn't mean I lost those files because I saved them somewhere. But so what I'm going to write here, adds bumper finishes obstacles in first scene, and removes the autosave files. And I'm not going to push immediately because I'm going to do one thing that you probably haven't done yet in Git if you're well, starting out. So I'm going to undo these move so that my Explorer thingy, like Finder in Mac, lets me do that. So they're back. So I'll just have my files back. These changes are now there again, and now it doesn't know about these because they're not tracked. Now I can actually ignore them, and I can tell Git to ignore everything beneath autosave, so that nothing that will get autosaved in the future will actually be included. And you'll see that there's going to be a change to Git ignore, and then those other ones will just disappear because it's not tracking them. You see it adds assets/autosave. That's the folder that I'm ignoring now. And then what I'm actually going to do now, what's new now, and I'm going to commit. I'm going to add this little thing to the last commit because I didn't push it yet. I'm going to do amend. That's an option, and you get the same message back because you're actually adding something to the commit that you just made. You should only do this when you're actually doing it at that same time. So changing history, I'm amending this previous commit. So I actually don't want to spend more time on that because I want to actually remove them from tracking. I could do all this by hand in the command line at the same time and then make the commit, but actually, well, it's very well possible like this in source tree. So I remove them. So whenever you're stuck with files you actually don't want to track, but you do want to keep, use this trick, move them somewhere, then make that commit, move them back, ignore them, and then amend the commit by actually adding that little thing to git ignore. I'm pushing this, and then I'm actually set to continue on the game. I don't need to wait for this to complete, so I can just continue this. The other thing I did not do yet last time, this is the pinball table so far. What I did is I set the power of these bumpers by giving a force to the ball that comes in. Once it hits, you see that. And I was already saying like, whoa, that's quite a large force. And I wasn't really sure why, because I thought I'd actually given it a force that was pretty okay, comparable to the gravity. And that should be okay as an impulse. But what I forgot there is I'm going to open this script. This is a script. I gave it for those who didn't watch before, I gave it a custom icon there. I'm going to do that a lot so that it actually is selectable here with a gizmo. These things. Those. I make a lot of those custom gizmos, especially when I'm doing something like this type of game where you want to really edit the stuff in 2D a lot. But it also works, it also helps a lot in 3D. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open the bumper script. And it's probably already open somewhere. Yes, there it is. No, what? That's an old one. Here we go. Yes. So what I did last time, I set this bump force to 30. That's just initializing it. In the editor, I actually changed it again, I think. Oh no, it's still 30. But I didn't change it on the prefab as well. Right, so that's good. Bump force 30, but I think it's still way too much. Why is that? Well, what I did here, I took the difference between the position of the collision object, which is the ball, and the position of the bumper, and I just multiplied that by bump force. But this is taking also the length of that difference, so I have to normalize it first. If people are interested, I might like in this, I might do some streams with like actual math, physics stuff in Unity in the future to explain those little bits a little bit more. Somebody who might be watching today is actually a student of mine in the Amsterdam University of Applied Sciences. I teach that kind of stuff there as well, so I know a lot about math, which helps a lot by choosing the right stuff in code, but it's also just checking out and just trying stuff out. I don't know why that took so long, but here we are. And now the bump force of 40 should be a lot better because it only takes the direction of what it's hitting instead of also the amount. Yes, that's a lot better. That might even be not enough. It looks like it's a bit weak now. So now I can actually tweak that value. I'll actually tweak it in the prefab so it gets changed in all of them. I'll tweak it to 40. Oops. Oh, what happened there? 40. And then this, if I'm correct, it should be over there as well. And I can actually tweak it while running, but I think I'm just going to leave it at this for now. The real value will only matter once I start really like playing. This looks quite okay. All right. So let's think. Should I do some visual feedback here first, or maybe some interaction? I'll do a little bit of visual feedback first, so that you can actually see the bumper do something. At first, I'm just gonna use the color of the sprite because I don't have a model loaded yet. There's actually not a definitive model that we made yet, but for now, I'm gonna just let the thing change to. Well, I can't do white easily because you can't multiply red with something to become white. So I will multiply with 0 with black, and then it will become black when something hits it. Let's just do that. I'll edit the bumper script and add a little bit for that. Let's see what I could do. Okay, so what I'm gonna need is to I'll prepare both. I will actually let it grab a sprite renderer, but I will also already prepare for the no, I won't. No, because then I have to take into account what animation I'm gonna play. Let's just I'm not gonna do that yet. I'm gonna get its sprite renderer. So for now, it really needs this thing.
Hey, Stephan, good to see you again.
That's Dan. That's an old intern of ours. Nice. Thank you very much, Dan. I hope you pick up some nice things here. All right. Usually when I'm gonna like grab this sprite renderer here in the awake, I'm just gonna do sprite renderer is it will be get component, but not get component because it needs the component from the child object. So it's going to be get component in children, sprite renderer, and then usually I would want that to have some kind of thing that says it has to be on this object because it's now in a child, I'm not going to have that enforcement. You usually would do something like require component type of sprite renderer, and then it has to be on this object, but because it's not, I can't do that. So I'm not going to do it. So what I'm gonna have to do is make some. I'm gonna let the color change. So I'm gonna have to change it back at a certain point. So I'm gonna just normal color. I'm gonna save the normal color of the sprite renderer here. Let's see, normal color is the sprite renderer dot color. That's all I need. And then when it enters, I'm going to start some nice tweaking. This is actually what I talked about last time. Well, I think maybe two streams ago. I added Do Tween Pro, and that actually will help us a lot in doing effects. Well, I'm going to show you now. I will have a tween start, so actually gonna make I'm gonna do first a check, always. In Unity, there's this thing that you could just do if with an object, and if you just use an object here, it will compare it to null. It's the same. Oh, it's the same as that. I'll just keep it like this because it's more readable, right? Like that. So no, actually, I like using this. The shorter, the better. If you know this, then it's fine. But if you don't, you should not use that kind of shorthand, but I think it's always nice to do. Okay, so I was typing while I was speaking. Let's see if I did it right. Yes, if we have a sprite renderer, it's the same as saying it's not no. We put its color to black and then we start a tween. So the nice part about do tween is that I could just do color and give it a color. I will tween it back to its normal color over, I don't know, a little bit of time. Let's say a quarter of a second. Oops. Even shorter like this. This is not imported yet, but Visual Studio knows where it is. It's in dg.tweening. So this is what doTween does. It gives you these handy extension methods so that you can use it on practically anything that you have. I now have an object that's of type sprite renderer, and then I can do lots of things with it. Say like sprite renderer dot do, and you see here I can tween its blendable color, its color. I can tween its alpha value. I can play it, kill. Well, that's with a lot of things that do have some timeline stuff. What this creates is a tween object, which I'm going to actually, yeah, hold on. I will save that tween. So I'm gonna have to make a tween object. Thank you, thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you very much. All right. So here we go with the tween. I saved the tween. Why did I do that? Because once a tween is playing and I start a new tween, then it will like intertwine. That's a nice one, intertwine the tween. If there's a tween already running, I want to stop it before starting a new tween. So I'm actually gonna on collision check if there's a tween. Tween is not a Unity game object, so I'm actually gonna have to write this out fully. Then I have to kill it. So that's actually something I need to do. So now I've got this sprite renderer that should change to black immediately and then tween back to its normal color in a quarter of a second. This should work. Let's just test this out. Now we're gonna get to see these visual feedback and moments. What's happening? Why did it beep on me? It was just not ready for me, yeah? Oop. Oh, there we go. That looks nice. That looks a lot more interactive and telling me what actually is happening. So now I know that that bumper is actually giving this bump. Well, nice. Later on, I can use this same moment to start an animation of the actual mushroom that those circles here will be. All right. I already saw that I want to move these a little bit. I do want to, it will just push it back really easily into that one. So I'm going to move this a little bit to the side. This one actually too, it's way too much directly underneath there. That's not good for Pinball. So I'm going to move them a little bit outside. All right. So that's a bumper. Now, actually, here comes the fun part. Now we're going to add some interaction. So I'm going to draw a flipper, and that's going to be my first flipper. I'm going to just take this obstacle that I already had and change it into a flipper. Flipper, we had a name for these flippers. This one's M1, I think. Is that correct? O1, it's O1. For those who haven't seen this before, this is the game design. I have this sprite object here that's underneath everything. That's our game design. I'm just trying to draw over that so that it's all in the right place. So what happens now is I actually did not draw this part yet with the snakes and the snake hats, and they're actually pretty much obstacles. So I'm gonna get me a new obstacle. Oops, that's not good. That one. Copy me a new obstacle and actually draw those first so that I can change. The flipper has to start, according to this drawing, it should pivot at that point, so I'm gonna make this be the main. Whoa, double click there for some reason. Why did I do that? I don't know. I don't need that bit. There's never gonna be anything over there, so let's do this, and there we go. And like that. Here we go, here we go. Yes. Well, it's gonna be simple like that at first, and I can just copy this one over to the other side. Oh, didn't copy. That's copy. And flip it. That's fine for colliders. Flip it like, that's not good. That's not a really good design document. It didn't pivot at the same point. Well, we'll see about that. Now this thing I'm gonna turn into a flipper. Let's draw a nice little flipper shape. Flippers need some outer point that you can actually use to push the ball just when it's almost getting out of control. And then that bit really doesn't need to be there. I can just do it like this, because they're going to be stuck in there anyway. No, I do need it. Sorry. It's going to pivot around here somewhere, so it will need to not stick out when it's rotating. Right. I didn't do it right, I think. Yeah, I forgot one thing, and that's it has to be over here, of course, the pivot. So I'm going to move all these things again. And I got my flipper shape. And then I'm going to try to get it to be interactive. Next thing on my list. All right. Maybe even one more point so that it will just not get out of my way. And this should be fine. The bottom doesn't really matter that much. It's about this curve here. I could tweak that later as well. All right. Got my flipper. I'll give it a different color. In my schemas, it should be, where's my color picker there? In my things, it should be green. So let's just make it green. And now it's drawing as green. And I will actually also already copy it to the other side. I'm not yet sure that mirroring is a good idea here. Let's just try it and see where we start to mess up. Okay, so now hiding this again, I've got my flippers, and I'm gonna actually see what, okay, yeah. I'm going to make my flipper into a prefab, just like the bumper first, and then this flipper, I'm going to use the same trick as I did last time. I'm going to put it over there, replace it, see that that one will flip. I will change the prefab because I don't want the prefab to be straight and this copy to be mirrored. All right. Okay, so now let's see how much I actually want this thing to turn. I'm just going to try that out. I think this is about right. Ah, well, that's exactly 45 degrees, so that's nice. I'll try to use that in a script now. Yeah. First, I think it's a bit thick, this thing. That looks better. Doesn't really matter a lot. Just like that. I'm overriding, applying this to the prefab so that that one will change as well. And now I'm going to try to use that 45-degree angle in a script that will need to use input. So next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go to my package manager, because this is a new thing I was already announcing that I was going to use. I'm going to go into my package manager and I'm going to use this thing, the input system. It's the new input system. It says so here, new input system. And it can be used, well, it's way newer and it's way better than the classic input system. In classic input system, we would all just ignore kind of and use stuff like rewired or in control. Right now, it's not necessary anymore. Well, right now, actually in April already, it wasn't necessary anymore, because this input system is event-based and it's remappable and everything. Right, let's see. It takes a little while to load. Thing I'm gonna do here is I'm going to, there's multiple ways you can use this input system. That's also one of the nice parts about it. It's like it's completely up to you which way you like most. You can still use it just in an update kind of way, like I check in update if some input was done. But you can use it totally event driven in C#, and you can use Unity events. I'm actually gonna do the Unity events way because I like that that feeling of like configuring everything in the inspector, and also my colleagues who are not so good with programming. Oh, here we go. My colleagues who are not so good with programming can just then reconfigure stuff, and that's really nice about that part with the Unity events. I'll show you. This warning will tell me, yeah, well, it's not configured for the new input system yet. It will have to disable the old input system. Well, I'm going to say yes, and then it will restart Unity. One thing I forgot is committing, so I can do that while it's restarting. I'm actually going to go into source tree and see what changed. Blah, blah, blah. The bumper, I fixed the bumper there. That's the first thing I did. And then I added the flipper. Well, let's just have it as one little thing. And now the project settings changed because I added, what is it? I added the input system. So I'm going to commit this. Adds, no, fixes bumper, force, adds flippers, adds input system. All right, well, okay, I'll just go like this. And this time I am gonna push immediately and go back to Unity. Unity's still loading. Wow, that costs a lot of CPU. Importing stuff, huh? All right, let's see. Here we go. Yes, there are no packages. That's a nice one. You see while it's loading. It should have loaded it up by now. Whoa, input system, it's loaded. Okay, cool. Here we go then. Flipper. This thing actually needs to be called flipper. Yes. Gonna make a script for the flipper. So I'm just creating a script. This time I'm doing it in script, so I don't have to move it. I'm gonna put it on the flipper. Actually put the bumpers outside of the main level, so I'm gonna change that first. Whoa, what's happening? Oh, yeah, that's because that's one of the things you can do is not use all those plugins, and then you have a quicker compile time every time you like make a new script or change stuff. I just prefer to have all these things in there. I'm gonna reorganize this a little bit. Fortunately, I don't have that weird dragging bug I had last time. Flipper gets its own icon because I made an icon for a flipper. I'm not gonna show all the icons. There we go, flipper. And now it gets to recompile again, yay. I'm gonna put it on the flipper prefab. So I'm gonna open the prefabs. I'm going to open the prefabs, I said. And open the flipper prefab and put that script on the thing. All right, so now I can just go back and you see it. So there's a flipper on there, and you still see it being drawn as this gizmo, which is not really weird because these things are, it will always take the topmost one that it has an icon for. So I'm gonna, just like last time, I'm gonna put that flipper up there. Whoop. Why not? Oh yeah, duh. And I have to do that in reorganizing stuff. I have to do in the prefab. This is not nice. Yes, there we go. And now you see there's actually the icon for a flipper that I can select the thing with now. I'll make my gizmos a bit smaller like they should be. What? Some weird stuff happening with my mouse again. Alright, here we go. And flipper. There's a flipper and it doesn't have input yet and it doesn't do anything yet, but it has an icon. Yay. Let's edit the flipper script. Where's my dear? There we go. Visual Studio. Right. So let's think what Flipper should have. I made some notes so that it goes a little bit quicker than just thinking. I'm gonna need to know if it's the left or the right flipper in order to know what input I'm gonna catch. Does that matter actually? No. Let's just start with catching the input. So there's a new thing I said, and that's called input callbacks. And these callbacks are in a Unity event. Let's create a object. I'm creating an empty object, and that will be my input. I'll just call it input system. I don't know what to call it. And what I'm going to put here is the player input. And now we get a lot of new info. What I'm just going to do is I'm going to create a new input action asset. Create actions. There's a button for that. I'm just calling it Hatchball input actions. That's perfect. In the assets folder. And now there was something disposed. Doesn't really matter. What I have here now is a Hatchball input action set. So if I double click that, I get this new window. Input actions. It's pretty nice. It's got these default things in there like UI, all the standard UI things that you want to have. And then there's move, look, and fire, which is like standard FPS kind of stuff. I don't want those. So I'm actually gonna remove them. Can I just delete them? Where was that again? Delete there. That's right. So what I actually want is actions for left flipper, and I want an action for right flipper, and I want an action for plunger, and I want an action. Plunger should do enter before. Okay. Plunger. I want an action for tilt, probably. Maybe even tilt left, tilt right if we want to make it into a real pinball game. Tilt center if we have those. Was trying to put that up here, but okay, this editor I don't know that well yet. Maybe like this it will work. Yes. All right. So what else do I need? I have no idea. I'll get to that when I get to that. So for now, I'm just gonna do these three. Well, actually, let's just do all of them. I'm gonna make a binding here, and the binding is a keyboard, and I want to do left shift, and I just type in there, and it's left shift. So right now there's an action called left flipper that will be triggered if I push the left shift, and I'm gonna put it in control scheme, keyboard and mouse. What I can already also do is add a new binding, and this binding is, for instance, for a gamepad, and left flipper should be left trigger. People should be able to configure it, but I'll say left trigger. So in the gamepad control scheme, it will automatically use left trigger, and I'll be able to also add like a touch binding. I'm actually not pretty sure how that works yet. Touch one, tap, touch screen. Yes, let's not do that. Yeah. No, that's not gonna work. I'm gonna have to see how that all works out, but let's first just put this right shift. Right shift. For the keyboard, I'll just say right trigger for a gamepad, just for now. And the plunger, I'm gonna add. This is the second one. So I'm gonna want to shoot the ball. Let's say the right. Is there always a right shoulder? Yeah, I guess it's a default thing. So let's do that. Right shoulder, plunger is gonna be keyboard enter. Boom. For keyboard and mouse, I forgot this, I guess. Yes, that one I did. Okay, so now I've got control schemes, and I don't think I really need to enable any control schemes from in the start. In the editor, I think it automatically takes any. Not sure. Didn't really look into that. I will see about that. I've saved the asset. I can close it, because now in this input system I see there's this place where I can put it. I will put it there. Now there's input action. There's default schemes. That was. So their default scheme is going to be keyboard and mouse. Auto switch means it will switch. Oh, there you see it. The explanation. The player is just, when you start using the gamepad, it will automatically switch to the gamepad control scheme, which is really nice, I think. Right. So default map is player. That's nice, and I don't have any UI stuff yet, so I won't do that yet. All right. So input settings. There's also input settings. Do I actually want these? I like tweaking everything. Dead zones, do stuff like that. Process events in dynamic update or in fixed update. That's nice. I want to always process them in fixed update. All right. Then there's supported devices. I just leave it empty because if you add anything here, it will only support those devices. If you leave it empty, it will support anything that Unity knows, which is a lot. So let's just leave it empty. All right, so there's this input set. So these things actually belong in the settings folder, I think. So let's do that. I'll put this in settings, and I'll put this in settings. Oops. Go there. Yes. Well done. All right, so we got an input system running, and it has player input, and it will send messages right now. That's not what I want. What I want to do is invoke Unity events. That's what I said, and here are the events. So there's these things that I can do, and I will probably need to do all that kind of stuff later. I will, because I will want to notify the player when its device is lost, etc. Like your gamepad is disconnected, and pause the game, stuff like that. For now, I'm just gonna go into player events, and here you see those things that I created: left flipper, right flipper, plunger, tilt center, tilt left, and tilt right. They're listed here as callbacks. So what I see is I need a callback context object. That's the way Unity events work. So what I'm going to create now in my Visual Studio here is a new method that I can call once this at the moment that this key is pressed or released. So I'll just call it for this object. I like this new way of doing it. For now, I've settled on this. I'll call it input, and I'll call back context. Let's call it CC. Or, nah, that's not nice. Context. Right. Callback context. Where is callback context? Is in Unity engine.input system.input It's a static thing. Okay. Why? Because then I can use that thing automatically. Well, fine. Now I'm gonna check if it's actually pressed or released, because that's something. This thing will get called whichever way. I'll just bind it first. Let's see. So this flipper. Ta-da! Compiling. This flipper thing doesn't show anything, but the input system can now, if I open the events, so left flipper, I'll add a callback to this list flipper object, calling flipper, and you see dynamic callback context. It will automatically put the callback context into the parameter of input. So right now, left flipper is bound to flipper 01, which is this one, which I didn't give I didn't give it an object node yet. That's nice. I will do that right now, because you see those nice ones there. I will give that to them as well, but for now I'm just going to add flipper 02 to the right flipper callback, so that we actually already have this input method being called when I press and release those keys. Right. Gonna move this out of the way a little bit. Why would it be there? It has no need for transform, so I'm just gonna put it to the side somewhere. So, like that. Same goes actually for directional light. Where it is, that really doesn't matter, so I'm just gonna put it at -50, 0, 0, and then move the input system up a little bit or something like that. Yep, so just objects that I don't really need to be in a specific place. Yeah, what I said, I was going to give those object nodes. I just copy them from one of the others and add it to the prefab actually. Paste. There we go. And it's a I'll call it flipper in the prefab. Make it green. And then I'll go back to the scene, and you see they both have a little note. I go back to the way I wanted to show, something like that. This one would be here and be called 01, and that will be called 02, so I can later make sense of all this again. All right, so I've got these two now, 02, 01 and 02. I've got the input system set, so it invokes in Unity events, and these events are here. So actually at this point, all I need to do is do something with the input. So I'm first going to check if this thing, okay, like what it is. So you can get a lot of info from the context, but the thing I want to know now is its phase. So actually can do that like this. Not 100% sure. I should look that up, but well, I could just check it. I was previously doing this. Dot phase is input action phase dot started, but I'm pretty sure that this is a shorthand for that. So if it's a started event, like that means this input event started. In this case, means the button was pressed. Then I'm actually gonna do something that rotates the flipper. Now there's a very important thing to rotate a flipper and to make sure it works well in the physics. You need to rotate the rigid body by using an angular velocity. So let's do that. I'm going to make sure the flipper has a rigid body. It should have a rigid body 2D, which now I will add here. It will need a type of rigid body 2D. I will get it in the awake method. I will say RB is get component rigid body 2D. Oops. Yep. So I got the rigid body 2D. This thing now needs a rigid body 2D, which it doesn't have. So I'm just going to complain or put it in there. Let's see what happens. There's a little bit of problem here. There's no problem because I didn't just add it, but I am going to add it now. Rigid body 2D. That's the thing that actually will perform some physics calculations. So this one is not dynamic. It should not like use gravity and like be knocked away by other stuff. It's kinematic. Am I sure about that? Actually, do I? Yeah, of course I'm sure about that. It's kinematic. It should be simulated though, so I'm not gonna update its position and rotation the same all the time myself. I am gonna use continuous collision detection, and I am gonna interpolate so that it will detect stuff that happens even between frames. Then it's going to always stay in the same position and just rotate. That's all. Then I probably will need a material. Let's just do that. Right now there's this materials folder, and it's not a nice thing to keep materials there's materials, that's like rendering materials, and there's physics materials. So I'm actually going to make a different folder for physics materials. Physics materials, create a new material called rubber, because these things tend to be made of rubber. And I will try to, oh, that's I created a material instead of a physics material. That's something that you can already see going wrong. Rubber, and rubber will have quite a bit of friction, let's say 0.7, and some bounciness, but not super. Let's say 0.2. I will tweak those later when until it feels right. And I will give this material to the flipper. Right, so now I've changed the flipper prefab to having this rigid body. You see it here, and it has rubber and everything. Okay, so now I have my rigid body. I can actually do stuff with the rigid body. So rigid body here, I get it. I didn't do anything with it yet. I will actually give this thing some angular velocity. Let's think about the angular velocity I want to give it. I'll just start by doing something. Let's make a nice little up velocity, and there's going to be a down velocity, float down velocity. These are just floats because they're a one-dimensional angular. They're an angular velocity in 2D. It's just one rotational axis, so it's just one number. Let's just say they have to go up pretty fast. I have no idea what the scale of gravity was like 30, so let's say 300. And down they go a little bit slower. That's always how it works with pinball. It's like, well, I have to tweak that, maybe even half. And yes, that's gonna be my first little bits, and I want to be able to tweak them in the inspector. I'm not doing this. Also, then I would have made this into a capital. No, I'm just doing serialize field. You can also put it on the same line, and it will, I mean, it looks a bit less nice maybe, but it's nicer because you can't just access these without like consciously deciding on that. All right, let's see. Angular velocity will be up velocity, then it won't stop. So now we'll actually need to check in the physics. After the physics update, I want to check if it's actually gotten past its maximum. So for flippers, it's really nice if they tend to like not stop at exactly the same point. So what I'm gonna do here is use the late update so that I actually check the position of the rotational position, so the angle that it's at after the physics update, and then just put it back to go down or stop at the bottom once it goes back, only after it like overshoots a little bit. So right now I'm gonna have to check if it's actually going up. So I'm going to need to say active. Oops. Active is true. So I'm gonna make a boolean that says active, and that means, well, it's actually active. So doesn't really, I don't know anything that's kind of the best name I can think of at this point. To me, it says everything. It might not be the best one, but I still. Then if it's active, the angular velocity is the up velocity. I'm gonna need its like maximum angle. I'm gonna check its rotation, because right now the rotation is 0 if I did everything correctly. I'm gonna get an error now. Yeah, I know. I didn't. That's weird. Warnings. Active and down velocity. I didn't give them. I didn't save that yet. Okay. I need to give this a default value, or I'll be getting those warnings all the time. Right. So what I see here, rotation is 0. So you can see that there, rotation is actually 0. So that's good. I want to rotate it. I wanted to rotate it plus or minus 45 degrees. Oh, that's the wrong axis, duh. Z-axis to plus 45 degrees for the left one. Probably minus 45 degrees for the right one. So now I'll have to make sure that I know the difference between the right and the left one. Let's start just with the left one, and then later I'll add the right one. So I want to know if the rotation is more than the maximum angle. So now I need to set this maximum angle. So I'm creating this maximum angle. I'm going to put it to 45 for now. I'm also going to be able to tweak it in the inspector because I serialized it. And I'm having this minimum angle. Do I actually need to make that tweakable in the inspector? Do I actually even need that? No, I don't need it. I think I will just keep that for now at 0. Well, to be super complete, I will set the minimum angle to the angle that the rigid body is in at the start. It's super complete now. Maximum angle is 45 degrees. If the rotation is past the maximum angle, then it will actually stop going up further. So I will set the angular velocity to 0. And I will set its rotation exactly to the maximum angle. So that's like it went over just for one frame, and then I will put it back to the maximum angle. That's a nice little effect that you get there. I mean, I hope. Now let's think, because it's active. Yeah, then now I need to do something else. That is that when this stops being pressed, and that's cancelled. Yes, cancelled. That's the new phase that said, okay, I've cancelled the pressing of this button, so it's now not pressed anymore. Then active is not true anymore. And then I will put the angular velocity to, so let's say down velocity it was, but it needs to be downward, so minus. This is only for the left one. The other one will have this one minus and that one plus. The right flipper. Let's think, did I forget anything? Yeah, well, no, and I do need to add something else, like if it's rotating back, then it will at a certain point let's think. Oh, hold on, if it's rotating back, it's no longer active. So if it's not active, then I'm gonna have to check this same thing. So I'll just copy this bit. I'm lazy. Now it makes me faster. It will be smaller than the minimum angle. Then the same thing will happen, but I will put it to minimum angle. Now I'm actually gonna keep checking this all the time, which is not what I want. So I actually want this whole update to go to sleep. Let's say go to sleep. That's a thing we use in simulations a lot. Awake. You've already maybe seen that sometimes in the standard physics stuff. I actually want to check if this thing is awake at all, and otherwise just not bother. So early out is actually this type of thing. If I'm not going to do anything else in the late update, this thing is quicker than actually doing if awake all this, because it doesn't split. There's no branching there. It's just super minor little performance optimizations that you probably don't really even need. All right. So at this point, I'm going to have to put it to awake. Also at the point that I'm pressing it, so that it will start moving. Well, no, that it will start checking once it's no longer. Let's see. At this point, when it returns, then it will stop being awake, and it won't check anymore. This seems to be my logic for one side, and the only thing I have to do here is add left and right. But first, I'm going to test it. Compiling a little bit. I don't know why my Console Pro is not showing compiling, but it tends to not do that when it's reloading at the same time, when I come back from Visual Studio. All right, let's check this. Left shift should do it. And then right shift should probably, look at that. Oh, it's really slow still. But it does do what I want. Like when I release it, it goes back. When I press it, it goes up. And actually, if I press it while it's still going down, it will do exactly what I want the flipper to do. So that's really nice. It alternates between being like active and non-active, and that's exactly what I wanted. Just the speed is way too slow. Right. Is that maybe I'm gonna check that first, because this thing has some friction, like there's physics settings. I'm not sure actually what I'm looking for again. I think it's something with the overall. Is it here? No. I'm looking for some usual. Oh, that's smaller than I thought. Oh, here. Inertia. No. Well, let's just say these velocities need to be a lot bigger. We're just gonna start tweaking that prefab until it's good. Let's say twice. I should close that if I want to. Well, keep tweaking it. Somehow still doesn't really seem to be enough. That's strange. Let's turn it up just one more notch. 900, 450. Oops. 900 tab 450. Yes. They should be, yes, over there. Let's check that again. 900 degrees per second. Is it that now? Yeah, that seems like, nice. Yeah, that's a lot better. Just gonna have to check that out. This one now goes down, but you see that both those inputs work. I just have to make sure that that thing will actually have a opposite speed, like will be flipped. So one thing I'm gonna have to add to my little flipper class is a side. So I'm gonna create a enum side, left and right. There's no other sides. And I'm going to have this flipper have a side. Oops. It's not public, so it's lowercase. So it will have to have a default value because otherwise it will complain in the scene. And then I'm gonna check these while doing these. Okay, so let's see. The first thing that will have to happen here is that when it goes up, I need to check if it's side. If side is left, then it should go up, and otherwise it should go minus up. And here I say if side is same thing, side is side dot left, then it should go minus down, and otherwise it should go down. Yep, then this is going to be minus, so this won't work as well, and this as well. So I'm gonna have to check here. Fastest thing is around here, yes. If side is side dot left, I put a case around, a switch case around here, but it's just 2 cases, so it doesn't matter. There's no need for, I'm not ever gonna have more sides than 2. So side left on that one is right. That means the same thing, but then smaller than minus max angle, and it would be minus max angle. Yes, and then the same thing for the checking if it's back. And that's right. Oh. Yeah, same thing, but then also reversed because it's coming back from minus, so it needs to be over minus angle like the one that I stored, and then it was set to that same thing. I could make this into one little thing because this actually stays exactly the same. So this seems like code duplication. I don't like it. So I'm gonna put it into one little thing. If let's see, side is left and that, or side is right and a rotation is bigger than minus angle. I'm not really sure if this is actually, it will give me a little bit more calls, like it will check this and then check that if it's not the left one. If like, okay, if it is the left one and it also does not do this, then the right one will be checked. So I don't like this as well. I don't like this either. I'm just gonna stay and stick with the code duplication. There's maybe somebody has a very much better option for this, but I am just not sure for this now. Right, so if it's left, I'm gonna check if it's smaller. If it's right, I'm gonna check if it's bigger. I could actually like call a function here. That's the only thing I should be doing then. But then I'll get something on the stack. It's also not nice. I could like make a boolean be true or false here. That might be the quickest way to do it, but then I have to check another if. So it really doesn't work that well. Well, it's minor. Because I'm streaming, I'm gonna be a lot more strict with myself. Actually, when I'm making games, I'm always a bit strict because it's super important, especially when we're gonna run this stuff on mobile devices. You really need to do anything you can to get performance up. Let's see. I didn't mark it yet. Something is happening there. Where am I using input? Base input.get input button down. Editor. Yo, there's a standalone, there we go. Standalone input module, replace with system UI input module. So that's a thing I should still do. The event system catches the input from the old system and it doesn't work anymore. Right now, this is left, and this one is also still left, marked as left. Now it's right. Right now, I can just flip both of them, I think. Should be able to. There we go. Yes, nicely. All right, so that's nice. And now I can simply copy those two flippers and duplicate them and place them over here. And they will instantly also work. So in this game design, we have two bigger flippers here and two smaller flippers over there. I'm just going to have to tweak their shape a little bit. So I'm actually going to delete that one first so that they have the same shape. R1 will be like that, and like that. And then I can test it with the ball and see if the things I just claimed about the physics that it should all work, if that actually is true. Whoa, what happened there? I added a point by accident. Right. Something like that. Duplicate it. Duplicate it, I said. Yes. Flipper R2. R2 should be minus 1. And then put over here somewhere. Weirdly enough, they don't line up in this drawing. That's super awkward. But they should line up, of course. All right. Turn this off. We see I've got these things all called O1 because I didn't change the note. This is R1 and this is R2. R2 will label go a little bit to the left. Now I've got these 7 things implemented. Actually can play a little bit because these should be working. Now that should be a right flipper, should not forget that. And I think their maximum angle need to be a little bit more than this. Let's check. I want them to be something like that. Yeah, that's 50 degrees. I figured these ones would go up a little bit more because they're already turned down a little bit more. Max angle 50, let's try that. And now I can just try playing this. There's a little bit of delay in the input and everything now because I'm streaming. That's kind of weird. Oh no, there's not anymore. Okay, there was something else happening then. Well, you can see that something is not working. And I know why. It won't automatically work. I should also send the event to that new flipper, of course. So in these two, the left and the right button things, I will add the left on the right flipper. And I'll actually say flipper input here so that I will actually get my input. That was a bit too easy otherwise. Oh, I forgot one. There's a flipper over there, Q. Let's add that immediately. Up, okay. And then edit this thing. Ba-bam. There we go. Something like that. And that's flipper Q. Flipper Q is a right flipper, that's correct. Should it go to 50 degrees? I'm not sure about that. 45? It should be able to hit these targets. So I think 45 might make more sense here. That's the default. Revert to default, 45. All right. So now we have this. That's quite a lot to play with already. Let's hope it works. No, of course it doesn't. Forgot to send the input just like I did there earlier. Let's just change the note as well. It's Q. And I have to send the input event of the right flipper to Q as well. Flipper input, and there we go. So what I could also have done is collect the event from the script itself. But I actually like this level of control in the editor. So right, let's see what works so far. They do all work. Nice. And you see that they actually catch the ball. Yeah, that looks good. Oh, nice. I got some frame rate, well, some physics rate issues. That's probably from streaming, because I'm doing this all on my laptop. So, oh no, there it goes. And I can actually aim already. So it's going pretty well. Thank you. That's just my colleague, but still, thank you. Okay, nice. And there you go. I can actually aim pretty well. Ooh. All right, now I need a plunger. I think I'm gonna do that tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. I think I'm gonna start streaming a little bit more because I'm actually trying to. I want to really finish this game. Calling begin right before end right. Don't know what that is. There's just I can show you this. There's this error here. Calling begin right before end right. I don't know what it is. I always try to keep this log fully clear. It's a GUI thing. Process event. Huh. It's not something I have any control over, I think. It's something in the editor, so I can ignore it. Yeah, I have to commit, of course. Let's see. Here we go. There's flippers added, flippers added, flippers added, input added. Well, that's actually what I did, so that's correct. I'm gonna commit adds input system, and oh, I already added the input system last time. Adds input scheme, adds flippers. All right, and we already have kind of, yeah, a working pinball game. So what I was saying now is like the plan is to stream at least, well, I said like at least once a week, and then I put down 3 time slots that I'm actually gonna always try to stream in, and that's like the Tuesdays, Fridays, and Sundays at 6 p.m. Universal time, which is like 8 over here, and it's 11 on the Pacific coast and 2 on the Atlantic coast, like Eastern time. So only people in Australia won't be able to watch. Well, maybe in Japan probably we won't be able to watch live. That's a nice time for me as well, because I'm finished eating and stuff like that. But it's also my evening, so I'm getting pretty tired. What I also want to do is actually build this game, and yeah, the thing is, like, I'm really I really want to do more. I really want to finish this game next year. So whenever I feel like it, I'm gonna do more. So for now, actually, I'm just gonna stream tomorrow as well. I have no idea if there are gonna be people there. Otherwise, you can just watch the recording if you want to. I have no idea what time I'm gonna do that, because I also have some work to do. And yeah, I'll just send out like a planned thing on, at least on YouTube. I'll put on like a new event, and then you can see what time I've actually planned it for. I'm not sure how that works on Twitch yet, like if I can put like an event on one single time. I will see about that. Yeah, I hope you will keep following this, because I really love doing this actually with some people watching. It's nice. It will keep me motivated. Well, I'm actually already motivated, of course, to finish this, but there's gonna be so much more to this. Actually added a little list of things I expect to work on our website, virtualplay.games/live- oh, that's really not a handy thing, I'll just type it in chat. It's a link, virtualplay.games/live game development with dashes. It's not that bad if you know what to type. So that one. You can see the list that list of things that I expect will come up in like building this game. I'm actually just gonna cover all of it, but not all of that will be on the same times, like this same time slot. Some of them might be too early for some people in some time zones. I'm sorry about that, but then you can always watch the replay. If some cool stuff comes up, I'll always add at like after the stream. I'll always make sure to update the description on YouTube to state what I actually worked on in that specific episode. For now, it actually was exactly what I had thought I would be working on, so I won't need to update it. That's nice. But yeah, I'm thinking tomorrow and at least Sunday I will be back to stream some more. And as always, I would like to thank you all for watching. I would definitely like some likes and follows and subscribes, and even if people are crazy enough to become a Patreon, I really love that. I mean, crazy, it's not that crazy. I mean, I've done it before and it's not that much money. I know about that side of it, but still feels, well, crazy. It feels kind of super special if somebody would do that, like give you a monthly amount of money to just keep going. We can really use that. We're a small studio. We're just trying to like survive in these times as well, just like everybody. And also, just when you're looking at this and maybe the whole crisis is already over, we're still a small indie studio, so it's really hard to just keep the office and everyone we're working with going. So anything helps. Also, telling your friends about this also, of course, helps. Telling anyone who might be interested in game development, seeing how it actually is done. I'm not saying that I'm the best one at it, but I'm actually, I'm explaining everything. So I hope that a lot of people will at least have fun watching this and hopefully learn a lot of stuff. Yeah, so support me in any way you can, support us all in any way you can, because there's a lot of other people working on this as well, of course. You'll see more of that in coming episodes where we'll actually start using models and stuff like that. You've already seen the game design a bit. I'll show more about that as well. Yeah, and also, yeah, I'm gonna do a lot of stuff with people, together with people that we're actually working with. At that point, we're getting new interns next period, including someone doing sound and music, which I usually do myself, but it's going to be really interesting to see what that will bring. And yeah, lots more coming up till like next year, when it's all going to be about how am I going to publish this in the right way to all those platforms, and how is it going to work with getting it out there, like, and everything in between, including those stupid UI things with all the anchors that I'm actually pretty good at, because I did a lot of like graphic design and like UI stuff on so many different platforms. So, well, look at the list on the site. It's going to be awesome. We're going to build an entire game. And yeah, also sometimes I'm going to just give you my music to listen to. Like always at the end, I'm going to have a track ready. These days it's still the same track as the previous ones, because, well, I'm also a musician. I use a little bit different name there than my own. It's Ben Stephan. If you want to listen to that, it's also on. You can find me on a lot of platforms, but most of my stuff is on SoundCloud at least. So on SoundCloud, it's by Ben Stephan. I'm gonna just finish with that, because, well, why I'm saying this, I'm gonna always finish with my with this little track I made. For now, it's called The Destination, and my next destination is tomorrow, I hope, and although otherwise Sunday, but I'll let you know. See you next time. Thanks for watching.